Welcome back to the Transform Your Mind to Transform Your Life radio, podcast, and television show. I'm your host, Life Coach Myrna Young, and sitting in the guest chair today is Dr. Shai Tubali. Dr. Tubali and I are going to be talking on the topic, the power of extended states of consciousness in trauma healing. Welcome, Dr. Tubali.
Hello, Myrna. I'm so happy to be with you today.
Yes, I'm happy to have this conversation. Consciousness is the big word. We're going to be talking about consciousness. We're going to be talking about meditation and those things. And we're going to tie it together to trauma healing, of course. So many things that help with trauma. So, all right. So let me give you guys a brief introduction. Dr. Shai Tubali blends academic philosophy and mysticism to explore the transformative power of expanded consciousness. His journey delves deep into how these states shape not only individual lives, but also humanity's present and future. Integrating Eastern and Western philosophies, he offers comprehensive insights into the nature and potential of consciousness. Holding a doctorate in the philosophy of religion from the University of Leeds, Shai is also a research fellow at the Arts and Humanitarian Research Institute. As an author of numerous books on inner transformation, he has shared his insights with many thousands of readers in 12 languages. Since 2000, he has been guiding workshops, retreats, and professional trainings, impacting countless individuals. His passion has led him to the creation of several original methods of psychological transformation, including the medically researched expansion method, which is what we're going to talk about today. So, Shai, as we get into our conversation today, I'm going to start off big. Go big or go home, they say, right? So, right off the bat, what is consciousness? Can you define consciousness from your perspective? And then we can elaborate on what exactly is the expansion of consciousness, especially as it pertains to healing trauma. Told you it's a big one. You got like 3 questions in there.
It's a good one, but it's also the fundamental one without which there is no further understanding. I mean, we cannot gain any insight into the expansion of consciousness without defining consciousness, right? So, well, first of all, just to start with a very simple definition, consciousness is that part of us which is aware. This is as simple as it can be. That part in us which is aware. So it's not something, sometimes when we talk about consciousness, it sounds so big, mystical, and elusive. But really, right now, as we speak, this part that is aware is already active. We already have it. We don't need to seek consciousness somewhere in a hidden realm. So consciousness begins with our awareness, the very fact that we are able to pay attention and that we are aware of our experience, aware of our inner content, aware of our very experience of life. Because we have this awareness, we also sometimes take a step back from life, from our life experience, and wonder, is what I do really meaningful? Does it really make sense? Because we have this ability to look from the outside at our experience. We're able also even to contemplate our own death through our consciousness, because we have this kind of outsider perspective. So the problem with this kind of attention, attention is the outermost layer of this awareness, is that it is usually trapped. It is trapped. It is so trapped actually that it is convinced that it is the same as thoughts, the same as memories, and also the same as traumas. So this awareness, this consciousness has lost the gap, this healthy gap that separates it from thoughts, feelings, memories. So when I have a certain anxiety in my body, I feel that I am anxious. I don't have this kind of healthy distance from that anxiety to enable me to master it through the power of my own consciousness.
Wow, that's big.
Yes.
Yes, that's big.
Yes.
And I'm there already. Right. I'm there already. Okay. So, yeah, so it's almost when we talk about dual beings, I was introduced to consciousness from Deepak Chopra. He's the first luminary that I study, and I love him. Right. So
Yeah.
he's big on consciousness, and
Right.
he says, who is it that's seeing you? There's a difference. So when you say that, we're anxious, and we're thinking that it's ourselves that is anxious. What I'm getting from that is that if we're able to understand that we're dual beings, we can watch this anxiety. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. This is
Wow.
the kind. This dual being is the perfect term. I would like to give perhaps two clear metaphors for that, because these are, I think, the best metaphors that I've ever come across. One is that we are like a vast blue sky, and we have these passing clouds, and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we tend to think that we are those passing clouds, so we
Mm.
forget ourselves in the passing clouds, while really we are the vast blue open sky that enables
Uh,
those passing clouds. The other is when we take a look at the night sky, and we always, when we look at the night sky, we always look at the stars, those
mhm.
luminous dots in outer space, but we don't usually pay attention to the vast space that contains them. You see, the stars, they appear within this space. Now, we, in the very same way, we lose ourselves in passing thoughts, in passing,
Mm.
because we have this kind of obsession with certain objects of our awareness. But
Mhm.
we have to regain awareness of our own awareness. Otherwise, and this is the key, otherwise, true freedom, true inner freedom, and true profound radical healing are simply not possible. We have to
Mhm.
we have to release that genie from the bottle. You see, to this giant of
Mhm.
consciousness, to be able to begin our authentic processes of liberation and healing.
Okay. So when you're talking about expansive consciousness, is we're talking about the consciousness where the stars, being aware that the stars are a part of the sky and that the clouds are part of the sky and we are part of a whole. Is that what we're saying? Yes.
It means that our consciousness is not limited to just a bundle of thoughts, emotions, and memories, because sometimes we have this kind of our sense of self, our sense of presence, our sense of mind become so drastically contracted that we end up feeling that we are just this kind of a collection of thoughts, memories, and attachments, fears, and desires. And this
Yeah.
is exactly where suffering begins, because we don't have this kind of inner spaciousness to be able to detach from these inner contents at will, and to say, well, this is not I am. I'm actually much bigger than that. I'm bigger than my traumas. I'm bigger than my memories. I'm not my thoughts. That's the beginning of true freedom. Now, so imagine that it's as if we are extricating that element of awareness from all identifications, and then we begin to let it spread to become that vast sky that it already is, that it naturally inherently is. And this is where, yes, we begin. The first thing is that we are experiencing enormous freedom. It's like it's a sense of exhilarating liberation, of having this part in us that has never been affected or shaped by traumas, memories, fears, desires. We're free. That's the exclamation. And then this can go on and can deepen and turn into, for instance, unity experiences, like we're experiencing that we are everywhere, that we are one with the universe, that because our sense of awareness becomes unbound, it becomes limitless.
Okay. Now, because you've been doing this work for a long time, you are probably operating in this expanded consciousness all the time. But most people probably would get there during meditation, right?
Right.
Which is like an hour, and then they go back to regular. Can you operate in this expanded consciousness all the time, or only during meditation?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. At first, you can operate like that only in meditation, and even then, when we're fortunate
Right.
enough to be
Exactly.
able to
Most
have,
people don't get
because
there, right?
exactly, because at first we have these tiny, delicious glimpses of freedom, because we all of a sudden realize, oh, my mind at its core is still, is silent. Where I'm able to watch thoughts, to let them appear and to let them disappear without any intervention, and I sink into this kind of wonderful effortlessness. But then I open my eyes
Yeah.
and I immediately contract, I shrink into my familiar personality, because I don't even believe, I don't have the trust that this kind of spaciousness can relate to anyone, can respond reasonably to questions and represent itself in the world, let alone defend itself when self-defense is needed. So that's exactly the process. You see, it's a long process of integrating this kind of essential freedom into everyday life, until eventually meditation as a practice is no longer needed. That's your
Mhm.
natural state. You have
Mhm.
become one with your meditative essence, and
Wow.
you have integrated it in a way that you no longer need that. That's your natural state. It's as
Yeah,
natural as people usually feel natural with, or it is with their personalities and ordinary thinking.
is that when you're enlightened? Is that when you become an enlightened being? Is that the meaning of that word?
In a sense, yes. In a sense that this means that there is some kind of um, stability of the meditative state, in a sense that you know that there is, and you experience that there is something fundamental in your being that will forever remain uninterrupted, undisturbed, undamaged, and therefore there is this kind of foundational fearlessness and
Mm,
uh, and and unconditional joy. You see,
yeah, yeah,
because there
yeah.
is this sense of something that cannot be damaged, that cannot be destroyed, that cannot be taken away from you.
Wow. Yes. Wow. That is a great aspiration to get to. And I know that the seekers, the people that are meditating every day and the people that are, doing this work, that's what that's the end goal. So, all right.
Hmm.
So when we are in this state of expanded consciousness,
Hmm.
I think what you're saying is that we can heal the trauma to the body. How do we get there?
That's a beautiful question, because when we speak of traumas, we know right now, when we look at the field of trauma work, we notice that usually therapists work on trauma either cognitively, analytically, which means that it's through talk, through understanding, through cognition. There is another vast field which is somatic, bodily based. So we try to heal the trauma through the intelligence of our body. There is also the psychedelic field that is now growing, although it is not yet fully recognized. And this is actually the reason that it works. When it works, is because it actually expands our consciousness. You see, this
Mhm.
is what psychedelics do. they trigger this kind of,
I've
of,
heard
of
I've
spreading of
heard the
consciousness.
stories. I've heard the stories of ayahuasca, which is part of that psychedelic thing, right?
Exactly,
Yes.
exactly,
Mhm.
exactly.
Okay,
Yes,
keep
so
going.
so I think psychedelics, they give us at least the trust that that our consciousness has indeed that kind of potential for spreading, for expanding, for growing. All of a sudden we understand, oh, that is real. That
Mm,
is real. That is available to me, this kind of freedom. But then we don't want to rely on substances.
no,
Otherwise, what's the point? We're talking
right,
about the power of our own consciousness, right?
right.
It cannot be, it cannot rely on something, because the whole point of enlightenment is total independence, is that you don't rely on the world, on recognition, gratification, sensual pleasure, and also not substances. So so that's the point. So the thing with the way I work with trauma is by expanding um, consciousness. And the question is, of course, what that means, right? Because this means that as long as I have this kind of um, level of thinking and feeling that is exactly the one that caused me this traumatic experience, I will not be able to even have the courage or ability to ever contain or digest my traumatic experience. You
Right.
see, because
Okay.
if I feel that my trauma is bigger than me, my
Mm-hmm.
memory is bigger than me, and you see, the crux of the traumatic experience is this feeling that I cannot, it's an experience that I cannot contain and I cannot digest.
Okay.
So
Right.
the whole point here with the expansion of consciousness is that we change the proportion. We
Okay.
move from the sense of smallness and vulnerability to this kind of genie that is released
Released
from
from the
from,
box.
from its
Right.
suffocating bottle, and all of a sudden we experience this kind of bigness. And when we are big and we tap into this sense of total freedom, all of a sudden being guided, now return, revisit your memory, revisit your trauma. So that memory that previously was unthinkable, uncontainable, something that is you cannot really endure or digest. All of a sudden, you are able to. I know that that would sound strange, but to happily revisit. It's like there is something you now, your foundation is of absolute positivity, absolute joy, absolute freedom. And from that, you begin your work. So that's the very beginning. First, you need to expand your consciousness. How we do that, perhaps we're going to talk about.
Right. Well, no, tell us. Well, I'm assuming that you're saying that we expand our consciousness by what we're talking about, understanding that we are part of the whole, right? So, but healing the trauma that's in our body. I like the word that you said, happily visit it. I mean, you're right. You kind of introduce that because people are not going to think that they're happily, revisiting their trauma. So, so how does it entail individuals to revisit trauma, deep-seated trauma memories? How do they pull it out in this expanded consciousness awareness part?
Well, what happens is, first of all, the way we do it is that we the expansion of consciousness in relation to trauma is a very interesting one, because we simply begin to, first of all, we zoom in on that experience. We first need to understand it, because that experience was in a way semi-conscious or half-conscious. We were there physically, but we were not there with our full awareness, with our full consciousness and presence, because we didn't want to be there. That's the point. Think of, I just want to give an example of, for instance, think of, and these are real stories, a girl that who sat in front of her parents at her 18th birthday, all of a sudden being told that they were actually not her biological parents after 18 years. Now, her entire world turns upside down. So now she no longer knows who she is. Her entire narrative has been changed so dramatically. Or a boy, a 6-year-old boy, this is a true story, who woke up one morning and found out that his mother was missing, gone. And he sat in front of, next to his father, and he asked, "Where is mother?" And he said, "She will never be here again, and you're not allowed to ever ask about her, and you're not allowed to grieve over her absence."
Wow.
So then now, so this is a double trauma, because first of all, it's realizing that your mother is just gone overnight. Second, you're not even allowed to express your emotions.
Yeah.
And these are actually considered to be even relatively not difficult traumas, because we have far more challenging traumas. But what we need to understand, that trauma is every moment of profound shock. It's a moment in which we feel that the world has stopped for us. It's like all that we've known as the continuum of life, this kind of continuum of events, more pleasant, less pleasant, is so violently discontinued, and it feels like the ground has been removed beneath our feet. So we feel utterly powerless in the face of a completely overpowering reality, and all that is left in us is this kind of very tiny victim that reacts instinctively, but fully resists being there, fully resists experiencing that condition. So at that moment, it's like, imagine that it's like that event freezes. It becomes an event outside time, and it has nothing to do with the stream of life. So it's not like an experience that changes, that passes. We keep experiencing as if it happened yesterday, or as if it is happening now. I call it, it's like a ghost that still that is convinced that it is alive. You see, it is hovering over, and it is certain that it is still embodied.
That's good.
And at that moment, because we are completely absent, we're not there, our body and mind, they are like an open house with and any burglar can enter. So what happens is that our automatic system takes over, our rational system is shut down, and every irrational conclusion can form. We can make really unbelievable. For example, I will never fall in love again. I will never trust people again. My reality, even the reality of my loved ones, can change any minute. So that is a state of existential tension. Now,
yeah,
how?
I can imagine that young boy thinking, I can never trust women because they abandon you, something like that. I like that. Yes.
Exactly,
Right.
and it's forever the case.
Right.
So now the thing is, and here I want to quote Einstein. Einstein said something that this is for me my motto for life. He said, "You cannot solve problems with the same mind that created them."
Cause the problem. Yes. Yes.
Exactly, with the same level of
Yes.
thinking where they were formed. Now, this
Right.
is genius.
Hmm.
Now, so this means that I cannot work on those moments from the very same level of lack of awareness. I need to enhance my awareness to such a tremendous degree that I feel all inclusive, all empowering, bigger than that event.
Hmm.
So what we do in expansion is that we begin to to characterize that memory, that traumatic memory, after making it more conscious. We understand what had happened then, and then we begin to characterize it. We give it a name, we label it, we find it in the body, we locate it in, perhaps we'll talk about it in our chakra system. And then
Right.
we identify what it feels like, what it looks like. We use our inner senses to define it. And then when we have this kind of pattern for that traumatic memory, we begin to imagine how it becomes enlarged, increasingly enlarged until it reaches its maximal level and cannot expand anymore. And what happens then is that when you try to reach the limit of that memory, it it explodes. It loses its boundaries, and it's the sense of contraction. And I like it very much because that means that you liberate yourself through the very thing that kept you in bondage. You see, it's like
Wow.
you transform that kind of very difficult experience, and it's sometimes sounds so unreasonable to tell a person, now make it even larger. You see, I don't
Well,
want to make it larger, I want to make it
you make
smaller,
it
I want
smaller.
to
Right.
make it,
Right.
yes.
Right. You know, my pastor was talking to on Sunday about being in the air and looking down and seeing everything small and tiny. And he was
Oh,
saying that that's how you should look at the problem, is that you're bigger than the problem, but you're going the other way. Yeah, expanding it till it bursts. Hey, whatever, however you do it, you're in control and you're bigger than it. And I'm glad,
exactly.
I like what you said about you've got to be in a different frame of mind that caused the problem, because you can't solve a problem with the same problem that created it. Very
Yes,
good. All right.
yes.
Well, you just introduced the chakra systems, because that's the energy. The chakra systems
Yes.
are the energy, the computerized energy bodies. I didn't know it held trauma because it's energy. So what makes the chakra system so important in this expansion of consciousness theory?
Yes, that's a very, very deep question, and I've dedicated so many years to investigating the chakra field, experientially and theoretically, and I've written several books on this topic because I'm in love with chakras. And first, I will tell you why I'm so in love with chakras.
All right.
The reason that I'm in love with chakras is that unlike many spiritual aspects of our being, they are accessible. You see, because very often when you talk about, I don't know, consciousness, the expansion of consciousness, that sounds
Big.
too, yes, too vague.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
but chakras, everyone experiences chakras all the time, and
Yeah.
they're just not aware of it. Everyone says they broke my heart. That person
Right.
broke my heart. Now, what do you mean they broke your heart? And we actually feel this broken heart,
Yeah. You
but
feel the
of course,
pain, right?
sorry,
I said you feel the pain.
exactly, and we feel it we feel it inside our heart, and we point at this direction. But it's not a physical heart that is broken, fortunately,
Right,
right?
right, right, right. No, no.
So,
Or even in the gut, you feel that more, the gut, right? Yes. Okay. Keep
or
going.
butterfly in the stomach,
Yes.
butterflies in the stomach. That's also related to the sacral chakra, the second chakra.
Right.
So, or suffocation in the throat, that is
Yeah, you
related to
can't
the throat
speak, right?
chakra.
Yes, yes, you're right.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the beautiful thing about chakras. They are some kind of of a mediator. They go between, that connects the different worlds, the energetic and the physical and the mental and the emotional. Then this is because they reside at the very center of what we can call our subtle body. And our subtle body is like has a subtle nervous system and subtle glands and subtle spine and subtle breath. So it's very similar to the physical body, but it is also the gateway to our spiritual being.
Right.
So and the reason that chakras are so important is because the chakra system encompasses all our centers, human centers, all the centers through which we relate to the world and relate to ourselves and experience. We have the instinctual center, the feeling center, the willing center, the emotional, the communicative, the mental, and the spiritual. So you have through the chakras the perfect, most comprehensive roadmap to your soul, to your psyche, to your emotional development, spiritual development, and all that not as a theory, not as a dogma given to you by some philosopher or mystic, but in your body. You
Mm-hmm.
see?
Mm-hmm.
So you can feel it, you can relate to it, and by learning how to listen to it. I know that you are a superb coach, right? And so as a coach, it's very interesting to understand that this is the an unbelievably useful coaching tool, because it enables you when you learn the chakra system to diagnose certain challenges and problems in that
Wow.
person.
I
Yes.
yeah, that's great. I've never used the chakra system that way, but you know something? That is great. I use the chakra system a lot because I'm a meditator. So I meditate all the
Mm,
time on clearing the blocked energy and chakras. I'm meditating on the heart chakra and the root chakra and that kind of stuff. So when I do the meditation, it is to clear any blockages because, you know, in case someone that's listening or watching on TV doesn't understand the chakra system, that is the first stop to disease, right? If it's blocked, that's when the disease comes in.
right.
So let's say that you talk about what a trauma is. Trauma is when something freezes and everything changes in your world and you
Yes.
freeze it in your mind. So where do you freeze it? Let's say somebody hurts you, you freeze it in your heart chakra. But your root chakra is just your grounding and connection to the earth. So
Hmm.
where do you hold these trauma? All trauma is in your heart, or they go in
No,
different, I mean the heart chakra, or they go in different parts. You're loving my questions,
that's
right?
no, that's actually a brilliant question. Well, let's start with this. The best thing that one can do, and here is a very simple way to access chakras. If you're able to, if you feel that that's possible for you emotionally, think but you can also people can also start with just a simple, a minor challenge. Yesterday, perhaps I had an argument with someone. I
Uh-huh.
call this kind of practice chakra whispering. so
Okay.
so so what I do is I think of that moment when I had this kind of argument and all the emotions. I retell it to myself, and I visualize it vividly, and I enliven those feelings and emotions. Then I begin to notice where in my body I feel this the most. What
Mm,
body part reacts the most to that memory? Now, this body part is actually related to a particular chakra. Now, knowing what this chakra is all about, which the topics of this specific chakra, will enable me to discern the cause of my emotional state. You see, as a result of that experience, and how to face it, how to best treat it,
mm,
because each chakra has its own lesson.
I
Some
love this.
chakras teach me certain things, and others teach me other things.
Wow.
For instance, the root chakra teaches me what it is like to have inner stability that can never be
Mm,
damaged. You see, it cannot be
mm,
damaged by life changes. And
mm,
why the reason I liked your question so much is because this is something important to understand. All traumas are, first of all, stored in our root chakra. Why?
nobody
Because
ever feels it there. There's no feeling there. At least I never
exactly,
feel anything there.
yes,
I
but
feel it in my heart and my gut, no place else.
exactly. But the thing is that the root chakra has certain implications. For instance, for our muscular system. So when we feel a muscle tension, that is related to the root chakra, or in the legs, or in the knees. So when we feel this kind of sensation of shaken legs, that we are, yes, all forms of physical anxiety, they
Okay.
radiate from that root chakra. All traumas are stored first of all there, because because the root chakra is where we most instinctively feel that our life has been shaken, that life
Mm,
is unstable, that
mhm.
we are vulnerable, that
I get it.
yes. But then there are this is a part of my teaching. There are actually 7 types of trauma,
Mm,
because each type of trauma corresponds to one of the 7 chakras, and this
mm,
is where we begin to be able to map our different traumatic experiences, and to also know how we should best approach them.
wow. I love this. And this is in your book, right? Okay. I got to get your book, right? I love this conversation. Okay. Wow. Wow. This is the first time I've heard this, and I've had a lot of conversation on chakras. I listened to a
Mm.
lot of meditations and chakras, but this is the first time I've heard this. So, wow. Mind blown. Okay, that's beautiful. All right, so I want to touch on this before we go. You're saying that mindfulness and meditation is different in Indian and Tibetan religion from Hindu and Buddhism. Why is that important to our conversation today?
Well, I'm not sure that, of course, there are plenty of differences. First of all, to say Hinduism and Buddhism, it's like each of them is like a huge field of meditative knowledge. So they also have their own diversity. It's not like there is Hindu meditation, Buddhist meditation. What is important is, first of all, to understand what is common to all these meditations. The principles are actually the same principles, and that's why meditation is essentially one. It's all about being able to detach from my thoughts, quiet down my senses, calm my emotional system, and begin to experience an expansion, a spreading of our consciousness, discovering the nature of our consciousness, not as something that we achieve. It's not some kind of achievement. It's not like in real life when you achieve certain achievements, you reach the top or something, because sometimes we try to approach meditation in this way. It's actually easing into who we already are.
Mm,
And we need to understand that meditation in general is like a tool for direct experience, because when we pray, for instance, we usually pray externally
mhm,
for a higher force, but meditation is the tool for direct experience, for discovering what lies within myself, within my own consciousness. So all meditations, Hindu or Buddhist, they have an enormous, unbelievable range, including mantras, visualizations, work on your breath, work on stopping your breath, self-inquiry, dynamic meditations. For instance, Muslim Sufis, what they do is they have Sufi whirling. They just revolve around themselves
mm,
endlessly. and
Okay.
until they begin to experience that center of their being. And there are meditations for concentration, and meditations for heart opening, and meditation for mind expansion,
Mhm.
and so on
Mhm.
and so on. There is, of course, mindfulness, which is alignment of body, mind, breath.
Mhm.
So we need to understand all meditations are essentially one. On the
Okay.
other hand, there is a wonderful variety of meditation techniques, and we should find what works for us, what excites us, what speaks to our system, to our natural tendencies.
Yeah. Okay. Like, and you know something, just as you're talking there, I recognize that that's true because one of the people that I follow is Sadhguru. And Sadhguru's meditation is totally different from Deepak Chopra's meditation.
Yes.
Now, I'm not sure. I think Deepak is Hindu, and I think Sadhguru is Hindu as well. I'm not sure.
Right,
They're all
right,
Indian. You know what I mean? But it's totally different. And then now I also follow Dr. Joe Dispenza, who's talking about what you're talking about. He's talking about getting into the quantum field and becoming no one and nothing and nowhere. So it's exactly what you're talking about, expanded consciousness,
right.
becoming one with a unified field. So they're all three different meditations. So, I mean, I never thought that they were different techniques. I'm just thinking that they're all part of what you're saying, the breath and, calming your mind and whatever. Yeah. So I understand what you're saying. So that's really great.
Exactly.
But how do we find out which one works for us? I mean, what takes us to where we want to go? Even though you're saying we're not really wanting to go anywhere, what takes us inside? See, I listen well.
Yes. Well, a meditation that first of all, of course, there are two approaches. One is the traditional approach. Is, for instance, you follow Sadhguru and you trust him as your ultimate guru, and then he tells you this is the ultimate meditation technique, and you follow that one faithfully for the rest of your life, even if it doesn't suit you at all.
Well, I don't actually like Satguru's because he makes you breathe very fast. And I don't really like that. I mean, when I'm doing meditation, I don't want to breathe fast. I want to breathe slow. But he does
Right.
this thing that's very, very fast. So I don't really like it. But he
Oh.
is supposed to be the best. So I practice it once in a while because I don't think there's any more enlightened being on this planet than him, to be quite honest. I really have
Mm.
deep respect for him. But yeah, but anyway, go ahead.
Yes, but then and then there is the other approach, which is experimenting with different techniques until we find we need the ideal meditation is something that is just in between, something that we respond to very quickly and very
Right.
naturally. We identify that as something that has the greatest potential, but it also challenges us a little, even slightly. You see, because if we feel at
Okay.
ease with a certain meditation, we might remain completely unchallenged, and then we get stuck.
So
So
now I should go back to the Sagaru one because I don't like that one at all. And it's challenging. See, I'm learning. I like Joe Dispenza's because you just lay there or yeah, there's not much challenge, just other than, calming your
yes,
mind and getting into the space. But
yes.
yeah, Sadhguru's meditation is very challenging. Oh, okay.
Yes,
All
and
right.
there is on the other extreme is what is called zazen. Zazen is a meditation from Zen Buddhism. It is all about just sitting. You position yourself in a certain posture, and you just sit. There is no focus. There is no object of attention. You don't need to do anything because the whole principle is that by sitting you're already immersing yourself in enlightenment. That's the principle because enlightenment is already here and now. So you only need to ease yourself into it. And
Wow.
that is of course, even that is not for everyone, but it is considered to be like the purest meditation because the purest meditation is actually non-meditation.
Mm.
You see, the thing with
Just being,
meditation.
is that what you're saying? Just being?
Exactly, because the thing is that our what we do all day long is that we focus, right? We
Yeah,
focus on desires,
yeah.
thoughts, emotions,
I love
certain
it.
activities, and meditation. The ultimate essence of meditation is being in a state of
Nothing.
non-focus.
Yes.
Exactly, finally relaxing
Nothing.
that consciousness,
I
not.
love it. Yes.
Yes, yes, yes. And that is the expansion of consciousness because now it is no longer fixated on something. It is open. It is like the vast blue sky.
I love it. I love it. All right. So, your book is called Llewellyn's Complete Book of Meditation, a comprehensive guide to effective techniques for calming your mind and spirit. So,
Right.
tell us about your book. Is everything that we've talked about in our conversation in there? Because I think this is a great conversation that we've had. And do you teach people how to? You talked about the seven traumas and the seven chakras. Do you talk about all that in your book?
Yes, yes, pretty much. It is actually a very comprehensive book. It does not teach you, of course, how to de-traumatize yourself because that requires a therapist, and this is why the expansion for trauma is something that people who I train are able to guide others. Um, in that on that process, but the book itself is like is well the most comprehensive guide that I could think of for meditation and for chakra development. And the reason that I wrote it was because one, I wanted to provide readers with a roadmap for the world of meditation because it's so overwhelming. The
Yeah,
meditation market is just overflowing
it's
and you
huge.
don't know
It's
what
huge.
to do. So I wanted to
Yes.
put everything
I've got
into
like
order.
50 meditation on my playlist, and every time I go on YouTube, there's a new one.
Yes, and every day another guide comes up with a new meditation.
It's true.
Yes.
It's very true. But anyway, go ahead.
Yes, so I classify the world of meditation into seven purposes according to the seven chakras. So we have all the classical meditations classified under one, healing existential tension and body mind balance. Two, the joy of life, cultivating the joy of life and unleashing the force, the life force, building our true inner power and presence, opening our heart to love and compassion, sound meditations, opening our inner vision, and opening to universal reality. Now,
Wow.
my real objective was to enable people, or is to enable people to have this kind of uh, opportunity to fall in love with meditation. I want people to experiment, to try out, to taste meditation in different ways, non-traditional ways, and to find out what suits them, perhaps right now, perhaps not tomorrow. Perhaps
Mhm.
this is the time for this kind of meditation, and in 1 year from now, it should be a whole
Different
different
time.
meditation. So we need to have
Wow.
this kind of flexibility and to
Mhm.
also experience our consciousness as an awesome entertainment park. There are so many
Yeah, so
things
many
to
rides to
try
get
out.
on, right? I love it. I
Yes,
love it. Yes.
yes,
And it's very good because a lot of people say they can't meditate. Their brain is too busy and that kind of stuff. So what you're doing is because everybody can find one of those meditations that will work for them. You know what I
right.
mean? So but yeah, as you were going through them, I recognize that yeah, the sound meditation, the heart meditation, yeah, I mean, I don't really do a meditation for the third chakra, but or creativity, but I do for the root chakra, and I've never done one for the seventh chakra, but
Mm.
I do the other three, right? So I mean, yes, I'm definitely gonna pick up a copy of your book. Is it on Audible or is it? in
It
a
is.
hard
It
copy
is.
only?
No, it exists in all versions. Yes, yes,
Okay,
yes.
beautiful.
I
Yeah,
think
because
I think
I like to
the
I like to
audiobook.
listen to my books. Huh?
Yeah. No, the audiobook is particularly popular because I think people enjoy listening and
Yes,
being guided
yes, yes.
rather than just read the book.
Reading the book, right?
Yeah.
It's not going to help. Wow. Yes. Yes. You sold me. Listen, meditation is amazing. I mean, you mentioned one of the things there about meditation to bring back joy. I meditate for peace
Mhm.
and balance and joy and positive energy. And that's what I do it for. I would like to get into the quantum field like Joe Dispenza talks about and change my reality. I'm not there yet. I'm just going for inner peace right now. Yes. So that's amazing. All right. So tell our listeners where they can pick up a copy of your book. I know it's on Amazon. Do you have a website? This is really good information. You can let us
Yeah.
know about your social media handles if you're on social media so people can follow you. So yeah.
Yes, the book is perfectly available everywhere because it's a good publisher that takes care of it. What I would like to invite our listeners to is the following. On my website, shaitubali.com, shaitubali.com. On the front homepage, you will find a free 7-day challenge that guides that contains 7 meditations for mind expansion, for the expansion of consciousness. Now, this is a part of a course that was medically proven, and it is all about the expansion of our positive emotions and experiences. It's a kind of interesting therapy because it works on flooding our being with positivity rather than working on our shortcomings. so so simply register, and you will have this kind of 7-day challenge containing these 7 meditations. Other than that, there is my YouTube channel, which contains over 800 videos, including so many guided meditations and explanations about how to integrate meditation into our daily life. So I think that's a wonderful resource.
And your YouTube channel is just under your name?
Yes,
Shai.
simply Shai Tubali. Yes, that's that's all.
So they just search for it. Okay.
Exactly,
And
exactly.
your social media handles?
Well, I have
Same thing?
uh, on Facebook. There's a my channel is called the 7 Awakenings.
Okay. And that's under your name as well? Shai
Exactly,
Tubali?
exactly. Yes, I think if you just type that name,
It will come up,
you
right?
have
Okay.
you have my Facebook and my Instagram and my LinkedIn and my YouTube and all the rest.
Right.
Yes.
Well, that's great. I mean, that's a great way for people to find you, even if your channel is, the name is a little different. If you punch that in, it will come up.
Yes.
So that's amazing. Yeah. So listen, Shai, I love talking about consciousness. I love talking about meditation. I love talking about the chakra systems. This has been a very inspirational conversation. I loved every moment of it. I will have a transcript of my conversation with Dr. Tubali on the show page, which is myhelps.us. I will link out to his YouTube channel. I'll link out to his book, linked out to his website. Definitely go pick up a copy of his book because everyone should be meditating. Trust me. It has
Mhm.
become, like he says, mainstream now. It is no longer just for the people in the East. It has come to the West. And everybody should be meditating if for one thing, just for stress relief. Um, you can take meditation and heal your body. I have done it and I'm no expert. I have been able to heal my body by meditating and listen, it's good for your brain. I'm reading a book right now that talks about what meditation what it does for your brain, how it changes your brain waves and your prefrontal cortex and your basal ganglia and all those different things. So it's very good for your brain. So yes, so what Dr. Tubali is doing is that he's giving you a guide to make it more succinct. He's um, coordinating it with your chakra systems and sort of coordinated with trauma that you might have in your body. They're stuck in the chakra systems. I don't know if you heard me when I said that the beginning of disease begins in your chakra systems because you have blocked energy, you have blocked trauma, and that's where it starts. So if you're able to clear that out, then yeah, you can heal yourself. I'm reading Dr. Joseph Spence's book right now for the second time. You Are the Placebo. And he's talking about people meditating and healing Parkinson's and multiple sclerosis and all those different things. So it's possible. It's possible. So yeah, I love bringing this kind of conversation to you guys. So yeah, definitely pick up a copy of the book. The book is called, where is it again? A Comprehensive Guide to Effective Techniques for Calming Your Mind and Spirit. And like I said, I will link out to it from this show page. Well, Shai, thank you very much for a great conversation. This was worth the wait. I know we had some challenges booking this, and it was worth the conversation. So as we wrap up, any last words?
Well, I will just say to everyone that your consciousness has because you spoke so beautifully just now, so I think you brought those precious last words, but I will just add that your consciousness has the power to free itself. You are the grace that you have been waiting for. You don't need anyone to save you. When you finally tap into the power of your consciousness, our suffering begins by not understanding the nature of our consciousness and how to harness it. And our freedom and happiness begins when we finally get to know what our consciousness is, that we are not our thoughts, not our memories, not our traumas. We are much, much bigger than that.
Yes, it's beautiful. Well, hey, I talked about the meditation part because that's what I know. And you talk about the consciousness part where I'm still trying to understand it. So together we had some great last words. So that's awesome.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
Yes, that's awesome. All right, guys. Well, listen, thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode of Transform Your Mind to Transform Your Life. Today, we're talking about transforming your consciousness and expanding your consciousness so that you can definitely live a healthier, happier life. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you, Dr. Tubali, for being on the show. Until next time, namaste.
Namaste.
Yeah, that was great.
Yes, you're such a delightful interviewer and discussant, so it was sheer delight.
All right, hang on. I thought I